guys. I'm driving to the mountains to house sit and look after a dog, puppy sit. So I decided on the way there I would make a video about how to help yourself with depression. Now, I went through a major depression, and I'm thinking that like maybe I can pass on some information that helped me get through it and how I got on top of it, and things that you should know and maybe you weren't taught by your parents or your grandparents or whatever, friends, whatever. So I'm going to go from start to finish. I'm not a medical person. What you need to do, is see a doctor when you are feeling bad, or, a therapist, anyone, someone to talk to. But I didn't like that stuff, the therapist side of things, because it made me feel like I was more depressed than what I actually was. It's just one of those things. But I guess I'll start from here, like how it all happened. So the first things first is it took me years, like 7 or 8 years, to figure out that my pituitary gland wasn't working the way it should. And that releases heaps of hormones to regulate your behavior. You feel anxious, anxiety attacks, you feel like you're going crazy, and people tell you that you're going crazy even though you don't feel like it. And you have to go on hormone replacement therapy. That's something you can only do through a doctor and have blood tests for. This also will affect your this gland here, I was going to say prostate, but that's wrong. It will affect most of your organs in your body, and you will not have a good time, and even memory and things like that. Yeah, so you have to go on replacement therapy. I am waiting for that, but in the meantime, I'm going to go through some other things. Like, it's, our society that we live in right now is kind of sick. It's not a society that your grandparents grew up in. It's not a society that even your parents grew up in. And if you think that you're not fitting into society, well, you're not alone. Like, nearly everybody isn't fitting into the society we have now. And the more you try and fit into this society, the more you're going to hurt yourself, and the more you're going to not really enjoy the person that you see in the mirror every day. It's just one of those things, another thing that doesn't help are people telling you about jobs, like you have to be a doctor or you have to be this and that. But in life, it's okay to just exist. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't need to be. And the reason other people want you to be that are out of selfish reasons. Their parents want you to be that. It's out of some sort of narcissistic need to have a daughter or a son or whoever being a doctor, like, oh, my son's a doctor, that's awesome. Or they see your life and they go, well, in 10 years you're going to be nobody. It's like, well, it's okay to be nobody. You live for a short amount of time and you go out with nothing. So you accumulate all your wealth, and what are you going to do? Take that with you? You can't. It's impossible. Another thing that helped me was relationships. So you date a lot of people in life. I'm going to tell you that 50% of them, it will be like cats and dogs. You'll fight. And if the other person is not willing to get the help, or yourself or them to get the help to help them change, that's when you have to leave. Don't stick around with people that do things to you. Like, there are many things. Let's say you're with someone and they're hitting you. That's an obvious one. Get out of there. Like, the second people start laying hands on you in any way, even a slap will lead to a punch, and a punch will lead to whatever, until they'll just never stop. It's just the way it is. Next thing that could happen is they gaslight you. They convince you need them more than you do. Or they'll tell you, they'll drag you down They'll make you seem like you have anxiety problems if you don't. They will say that you have problems socializing, and if you're around me, I'm going to build up your confidence, and you will end up being a better person for it. You don't need that stuff. Build up your confidence yourself. You don't need other people to do it for you. Those people are they want you to rely on them, and the more you rely on them, the more you get sucked into that relationship. There's people that use sex as let's say there's people that use sex as a bargaining chip in one way or the other. So there's people that will demand sex. You don't need that. People who demand sex when you don't, and you say no, and they keep pushing, get the fuck out. And then there's the people that will withhold sex, and sex is a human need, and it's part of a healthy relationship. If you're not getting that requirement, it's going to hinder your relationship. I've been in heaps of relationships since I've screwed my petuatry, and that affected my sex drive. I have no sex drive at the moment. That changes when I start getting shots. I used to have a very healthy sex drive. So at the moment I'm asexual. It's not fair for me to be in relationships with anyone at the moment, and that's what I've done. I've taken 2 years off. I'm 2 years on now, and as soon as I start getting shots, it'll be healthy for me to be in a relationship again. With the whole sex for people is kind of cruel, but to also use it as a bargaining chip, say, if you do this, then I'll give you sex. If you do this, maybe in a couple of months, if we're gonna go do this, I'll give it to you, and it'll be awesome. Don't be in that relationship. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you. Get the hell out. What else do we have in this regard? Abuse in all forms. There's so many forms. If it makes you uncomfortable and makes you go, it's probably there. I had a problem a lot where after the breakup, I wouldn't let people just leave. It's kind of like I did not have the confidence to tell them exactly why I was breaking up at the time, or how to. Sometimes I'll just ghost people, which is not nice as well. Don't ghost people. I just didn't have the confidence to break up with people the way I should, and it can hit you really hard later because you've got all these things that you want to tell them, and after the breakup, and you're trying to say these things through message or to them, it just comes out wrong, and you'll sound like an absolute prick. You'll be yelling at their friends or whatever. This person was a C-bomb, blah 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 blah. Well, that's not the time to do it. The time to say that stuff was in the breakup, and you've just got to get past all that stuff afterwards. If you revenge, this is a big thing. You have to let go of revenge. If you are trying to constantly get revenge on people and trying to, this person hurt me in the past, so my plan is I'm going to tell people about this, and hopefully that will even things out. Guess what? It doesn't. Those other people do not think of you at all. They don't give a fuck about you. They've moved on. They've and then out of the blue they get this message about, old mates did blah, 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 and he's written this thing about you. That's not cool. What that what that tells them is that you're thinking about them a bit too much, and revenge doesn't help anybody. It's never helped. It makes things worse. If you let go of revenge in your life, you'll find things will come a lot easier. You'll keep friends, and other people won't be scared to hang around you because one day you're going to give away all these secrets and all that sort of stuff, and that's not cool. There's a lot of there's a lot of that. There's something I want to talk about is how our society know that spirituality is a real thing, and I'll tell you why it's a real thing, because I'm just driving in traffic, so it's getting a bit heavy. Spirituality is this massive thing in life, and you might not believe me. You might be atheist or even agnostic, but in life, if you believe that we evolved with spirituality. There is a piece of your brain that is dedicated to spirituality, to worship something, or to think that there's something else there. Even elephants worship the sun. They hold up branches to the moon and worship the moon. And in their future, they're going to have the ability, to have a spirituality, and we have that. We are spiritual animals. And if you do not put something into that slot in your brain, you will put something else into it. A lot of people are doing that. They don't realize that spirituality is a real thing, even if it doesn't exist, right? You go, God's not real. What are you going to put in that position? Because it is a part of our evolution. It's part of our brain. You need to put something in there. So what are you going to put in there? Are you going to worship skateboarding as a spirituality? Some people do. Are you going to take sexuality as a spirituality? Are you going to fill that spot up with some other form of outlet? You don't know. The best thing I can tell you, for me, is finding that out. The second I found out about spirituality, life changed. I realized that if I did not fill that position with something, it was going to make me sad. There are aspects of your life that you will need to feel to make yourself feel better, and that spirituality slot. Let's say the cartridges. A spirituality cartridge needs to be inserted into you. I'll insert that cartridge into you. But it needs to be put into you. There needs to be a position of spirituality. What I filled it up with is not churches. Churches of today have all about money, and they praise God heaps, and not it's just a big money making scam where they exclude some people and include others. I've just envisioned there is a God, and I pray to him, and I worship in my own way, and it's my own little religious beliefs that I'll keep to myself. No other people can intrude on that. That's mine, and I feel that's better, than what other people are giving you, where you can build this relationship with a spiritual entity and know that there's something there, but even in an evolution form or in a real form, and it's mine. I go with that. The next thing you need to fill, like a cartridge slot, is a family spot. You might not have any family. You might not have grandparents. You might not have any family whatsoever. Some people aren't so lucky to have a family. You can get friends, and sometimes friends can replace that family slot, where you need to have a strong relationship with a group of people that you can do anything with, and they'll always be there for you. You can tell them your secrets, it doesn't matter. They'll be there for you, and they'll have your back. That slot needs to exist. If it doesn't, find a way to fix that. All these problems, if there's not a slot for that, find it. Make it work. You need to find a group of friends that become that. And you can ask them, I want you to be my new family, and they'll accept that. And you say, I'll be there no matter what, even if we have arguments, I'll come back 6 months later and still be your mate. That is a very important thing. I can't stress enough these cartridges that I'm telling you to do to make yourself feel better. You need that family slot. It is a given. We are evolved creatures from monkeys who had family and who had all these things, and we need to keep that. The next slot is friends. So distinguish your friends from your family. you might be at school or whatever, and you don't have any friends. Well, that can change. That won't happen forever. I was somebody that never had friends at school. None. I would walk around the schoolyard all day because that way people wouldn't look at me and go, "Oh, look at this idiot sitting by himself. He's got no friends." And I wasn't confident. I wasn't confident enough to talk to people. Basically, there are things you can do to your life to start getting friends, like going to confidence training, learning how to talk to people, getting over these fears, their internal fears that you have and hurdles to get over. Start talking to people, for me, it's bad, but alcohol is the first thing that started getting me out of my shell. And that sucks, but it's true. Alcohol got me out of my shell, and I started talking to people, and I started making friends with people. And that was, it's one of those slots that need to be filled. Things aren't forever. Friends change. If you've lost a few mates this week, guess what? There's hundreds of thousands of people that will be your friend. And it doesn't matter, if you're into anime or computer games, or there will always be friends, around the corner. And I can tell you, things change. So friends can come and go. That's a slot that is there, and you do need them. At least 2 friends. That's it. That's all you need for that slot. 2 friends you're meant to build up your friends group a bit bigger than your family group bigger than your family slot. What other slots do we have? Okay, so being comfortable at home. So that's a slot. Like when you go to bed at night and you have a nice made bed and you've looked after yourself enough in that day. You've had dinner. I cook dinner every night, not because I, need to. It's something that helps with your body and your mind to have that sort of a routine. And the final thing is, having something to do. It doesn't have to be work. A lot of people say you need to work. If you don't work, blah blah blah. It's called having a routine. A routine will help your brain a lot. Let's say you get up and every day you're going to write. That's enough. You get up and you write songs every day, 3 or 4 songs every day. That's your job, and that's what you do. A job doesn't have to mean going into a workplace and grinding a grindstone for somebody else. You don't have to do that. Having a routine where you get up and you do things helps you. We used to go out and hunt or have to mash the potatoes every day as a society, and that's life. That's how we evolved. It all goes back to evolution. If you don't believe in it, or if you do believe in it, then whatever. It has to happen. What's another thing? There are these other little things in life, like I can tell you that being depressed and self-pity is an addiction. The more you do it and the more hormones are released from you feeling sorry for yourself and being depressed, you're getting that reward from your body releasing endorphins to try and get you out of this state. It's not natural for you to be in that state, but you can get addicted to it. So you have to address it exactly like it's an addiction. Depression can be an addiction. You can be addicted to that feeling you get when you're sad. As much as that sounds crazy, you do. You get addicted to it. You have to break the cycle. You treat depression, if you're like this, the exact same way as you would as an addiction, like giving up alcohol or giving up heroin, and it is more addictive than heroin, and it's more addictive than, people can be addicted to it. And when you start to self-loathe and you start to begin, this person did this and they don't treat me right, why is my life always like this, it's always happening to me, and you'll get dragged down this. And then that's when the other things start to happen. Revenge comes out of that. Revenge comes out of you feeling sorry for yourself because somebody did this to me. And whoever that is, I'm going to make them pay. And the more you do that, the more it's a cycle. We'll go back. Well, then more friends left. Why are they doing this to me? Do they hate me? Someone had to do this. And then you'll go out and you'll find, and it's a non-stop thing. We'll go over and over and over. Another thing you have to not worry about is money. Money's not real. This society is built around money, and money is not real. It's easy to say that. I've got bills and all that sort of thing, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen? You get to sit at home and do nothing. You lose your home. Who cares? It's just shit. It's just stuff. It doesn't exist. It's not real. You can rebuild. Bankruptcy only takes 7 years. After 7 years, you can do it all over again. There's nothing. Money is funny, and if you look at it like it's just Monopoly, a big Monopoly game that can just crash at any moment, and it's something you shouldn't take seriously, the better life is. The people who take money serious, they're idiots. And if there are people that like that, you'll have to worry about them. They're not worth it. Oh, there goes a siren guy. A siren guy. That's something else I would like to tell you guys. So money is not real. A big thing that is with life, even after all the things I've said, it's okay to just exist. You don't have to do anything. You can sit in a big pile of nothing. It's okay to just exist, There's nothing that makes us different from the animal kingdom, from like a cat. And it's okay for a cat to just exist, eat its cat food and sleep. It's having the time of its life. There's, like Diogenes from back in the day, who lived in a big bowl or a big barrel, and he had nothing and he was happy. That's life. It's okay to just exist. We don't have to have degrees. We don't have to. If you wake up every day and tell yourself it's okay to just exist, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to fulfill all these things that I think that have set out in front of me. And if it's your parents telling you that you have to, or it's your friends, guess what? They're wrong. They are wrong. And you're going to outlive them. That's it. So, if you can fill those slots, if your family aren't being family enough, find friends that will be family. If your friends aren't being friends, get new ones. It's just, life is too short. And the more you worry about things, you will see life go by, and at the end of it, you will just be a bitter old person who has not lived their life to the fullest. I love an artistic world, and if, with my spirituality, I believe God is an artistic God who would rather us spend our lives creating art and music than pursuing, say, a building career, even though he might have been a carpenter. Who knows, I think art is an expression of God, and music is an expression of God, painting is an expression of God. All the arts are expressions of God, and that's how I praise God, is through artistic expression. And another thing, one last thing. In this world, there are a lot of narcissists and sociopaths. Our society right now is a narcissistic society. Our society is very sick, I think, at the moment. And everybody is obsessed with self. And instead of helping others or thinking into the future about how you could, pass on your ideas and your influence to others, that will be in a good way through maybe artistic expression or writing. You don't live in the moment too much, because if you do, when you hit 40, you will 40 if you are 40, but you might get to 60, you might get to 70, and you'll it's, wow, my car's making weird noises. You help as many people around you as you can. the more people you help, it comes back to you. You know, like if you lose your home and you're kicked out, which doesn't matter, by the way, you can stay at a mate's house because you help them out. You help them move. You've helped people move from another city to this city, and you've given them free rent, and they're willing to pay you back. That's life, you know. People wouldn't stand someone that's helped them out so much, living in a gutter, whatever. They'll help you. Another thing is, as I said, narcissistic society that we have now. People are so obsessed with themselves and with the current, instead of thinking about future generations and future events. They're just, you know, too wrapped up in themselves. That's why we're seeing a lot of things we're seeing today. It's a narcissistic society. Another thing, there's narcissists in this world, true narcissists, and there are true sociopaths in this world, and there's psychopaths. They make up about 5% of our population. Sometimes you'll run into them and you'll make friends with them, which is a bad idea. In my thinking, it's a bad idea, because if you are a person that's susceptible to depression, they will use that against you, and they will make your life hell, and they will accuse you of the things that you've done, they've done. They will do terrible things in life, and they will put that on you. They will do crazy things, you know, and like all of a sudden you'll hear that you're the one that's done this, and isn't he a crazy person for doing it, and this and that, and you're like, what? Don't hang around these people. Know that they're out there. Know that there are sociopaths and psychopaths and narcissists, and the more you hang around them, the more they're going to drag your life down with them, because they need a lot of attention, and they need a lot of work to keep up with, and you're never good enough anyway, and some of them hide it from you, and they will make your life a misery. They will tell girls that you're dating crazy things behind your back just so they can see you break up. It's crazy. Don't be near them. Look out for them. Usually they're overly happy people who, I don't want to talk too much about that stuff. That stuff I've had in my life, and I had a best friend that was a narcissist. Not any time recently, like over 10 years ago, but it destroyed my life. Just don't go down that road. I don't want to say anything else. So that's it, guys. I hope some of that will help. Just try and live day to day. Try to get rid of that addiction, which is to be depressed. See doctors if you need to. And, I'll be your friend if you got none. Cool. See you later.